conflict strategies, there are 4 distinct ones. Dispute settlement, conflict resolution, conflict management, conflict transformation. Dispute or conflict settlement is an approach that's aimed at bringing a dispute to an end by way of settlement. It won't deal with the underlying fundamental causes of conflict, it simply works towards the settlement of the issues. It's a means to an end. While this approach is focused on a mutually satisfactory agreement that may not happen, the primary goal then is to have parties walking away knowing what the result is. Think of an arbitration where 2 parties both agree to engage an impartial third party to make a bonding decision on their behalf. They know the issues will be resolved, but it doesn't focus on the relationships, nor does it address any of the underlying structural causes of the conflict. Arbitration is a good example of dispute settlement. Conflict resolution focuses on exploring the parties' goals, so it deals with the underlying sources of conflict. It focuses on the underlying interests. Though it involves both the parties in analytical and problem-solving exercises to resolve the conflict, it seeks an explanation of the conflict, but the focus is on resolution, on achieving an endpoint. Many types of mediation where the aim is to explore interests engage parties directly in problem-solving, cast a broad net for possible solutions but then ultimately get to a resolution. The third approach is conflict management. Unlike dispute resolution and conflict dispute settlement, conflict management embraces the ongoing nature of conflict because not all conflict can be resolved. Conflict management focuses on incremental progress towards a more constructive way of dealing with conflict rather than a final resolution or an elimination of conflict. For example, in a hospital there's this constant low-level conflict between the emergency department and the medical and surgical wards around the availability of beds. As long as there's more patients than there are beds, and that's a frequent issue, this tension will exist, and it will frequently turn into conflict or even crisis. That's not amenable to resolution. It's always going to exist, but exercises that are focused on building relationships, building understanding, managing patient flow more effectively are conflict management. It's about heading for a more constructive experience of conflict, that's not about eliminating or resolving it. Finally, conflict transformation is a perspective where we encounter conflict from a position of fearfulness, defensiveness, self-centeredness. This is the basis for many of the maladaptive or destructive behaviors we're seeing in conflict. Conflict transformation is about some intrapersonal work to help people move from that position of defensiveness or reactiveness to a place of responsiveness. From self-centeredness to a place of reflection and empathy, to bring about a more constructive engagement with conflict. This might happen through specific transformative approaches such as coaching or mediation.